We have arrived. Please help me welcome John Allen.
Hello, hello, hello. Okay. I'll start off by saying that I have been sober 26 and a half years. That's a little over a quarter of a century and somewhere north of 10,000 days, all in a row, mind you. And I know what you're thinking. Boy, I bet that little guy's thirsty. Like Shannon said, I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. I was an only child. We lived 2 blocks off Peachtree Street in an area that's now called Midtown. My dad was a school teacher. He taught 7th grade at a exclusive private school. He was also a raging alcoholic. And my mom was a stay-at-home Southern housewife, very typical in the 1960s. And I was kind of your average little kid, you know. I liked to play with my friends and build forts and ride bikes and, play softball and all that good stuff. I wasn't that great scholastically in school, but I did have a fondness for reading. My mom and dad were my whole world. And one day my mom put me in the car and says, we've got to take a little drive. And we wound up in the driveway of my grandfather's house. And she told me that she and my dad were getting a divorce, and it was because of his drinking. And my whole world caved in at that moment. I had such a strong reaction, I had to open up the door and throw up. I was filled with white-hot fear, anxiety. I thought I had caused it. I didn't know how to fix it. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I was all of the terrible feelings you can have all at once. My mom said we were going to go to Florida, and when we got back, he was going to be gone, and sure enough, that's what happened. I walk in the house, his stuff is gone, he's gone, I don't know where he lives, I don't know how to contact him, and my dad chose to keep on drinking. In a short while, I had an episode of sexual abuse. And again, all of those bad feelings came back tenfold. I thought it was my fault. I was ashamed. I was dirty. How could I have let this happen? I know I caused it. And most of all, I wanted to keep it a secret. I didn't want anybody to know about this. So that's what I did. I crammed all this stuff inside. My mom was a single parent at that time, and we'll go up to, I was 12 years old in 7th grade. And, remember my dad had kept on drinking. And one day we were out at recess, and I saw my dad walking towards the playground where I was with all my friends. And he's not really walking, he's staggering. And he's got scabs all over his face where he's probably fallen down, where he's gotten beat up. And he comes up to me and he says, I just want you to know I love you. And he's slurring his words. And I am beyond embarrassed, afraid, scared all over again. And it's in front of all my friends. And I just couldn't believe that was happening. So shortly thereafter, my mother gets remarried. We moved to the suburbs. I didn't want to go, but I hooked up with some guys that taught me about drugs and alcohol. And boy, I was off to the races. So I was a blackout drinker in high school, and scholastically continued to spiral downward. But when I was 16, I got my driver's license, like most of us have done. And the first thing I got to do was drive my dad to rehab. And most kids go to the store for a loaf of bread or milk. And I took Dad off to rehab at Georgia Regional Hospital. Again, I didn't understand what was going on with him, and I'm drinking like a fish. And I couldn't draw any parallels between his disease and what I was doing. No one had told me about it. No one had set me down and said, you may want to watch out for this. I keep drinking and using all through high school and college. I met my wife shortly, actually, we worked together on the river. We got married in our late 20s. We had 2 kids in our early 30s. And one morning, we're in our beautiful house in Utah, and the sunlight's streaming in. I'm sitting on the edge of the bed, and I'm sweating. I'm nauseous. I smell like booze. I'm shaking. I'm about to throw up. I can't remember what happened the night before. And my wife, she's here tonight, walked in and gave me a letter. And she turned around and walked out. And I read the letter, and it basically said, you're not a husband, you're not a father, you're not a contributor to this relationship. And if you don't change, you're gone. That was my bottom. I knew I didn't have any more excuses. Everything was on the table. Fortunately, I could look back and see what my dad did and knew what the future held for me. I chose to get sober. So I hope that my talk can be your letter if you need that. So what you've heard from me, take with you and know that you have the courage, the skills, the wherewithal to begin the healing for yourself, your family, or for others. Thank you so much.